So you've been playing Genshin for a while, but you do puny damage. Do you just get one tapped by bosses? Well, today is your lucky day, because I'm here to save it. This video will be split up into different parts consisting of very much the various sections of a character. So we'll be speaking about their level, their weapons, artifacts, constellations, talents, and simply gameplay. So let's get into it. First, I want to start off with character level. Now, as you can see, my Zhongli is level 90. Now, I'm not going to really focus on character level, but if you do want to focus on character level, I'm going to go over to Ningguang as an example. So the more you level up a character up to their max, this is going to hurt, but this is for example. Their attack will also raise, including their defense and their health. So if your character is under leveled, this is probably one of the reasons why you're getting one tapped, or this is probably another reason why you're doing low damage. Your character needs to be leveled up to the appropriate world level, or else you're going to get clapped really hard. So in endgame, you really want to have your characters around level 70 if they're support, maybe level 80 if you love them that much, or level 80 for your DPS, and 90 is not necessary, but you want to get them to their last phase so you can output the maximum amount of damage. Now this does have to do with both their level and their talents, but I'm going to fully go over their talent levels in the talent section. I'm going to speak about their ascension talent or their phase talents in this level section. So if we go over the talents, if we phase 1, you get this talent here. And this will be for Ningguang. When Ningguang is in possession of Star Jades, her charge attack does not consume stamina. Now the first one is usually not a game changer, haha, MTash language, but usually it's not a game changer, but the phase 4 is always something that can change everything. Now for Ningguang, it says here that she gets a geo damage bonus for 10 seconds. This is a complete game changer. It will increase her damage by a lot. Now if we go to someone else like Xinyan, an underrated character who could be potentially an S tier to Razor or Eula if you have her, simply because her phase 4 increases physical damage, and this is amazing for Razor and Eula. Now for phase 1, of course, is, as I said, is usually not the game changer here, because as you can see, this is more self-beneficial to Xinyan, but it can help her a lot. But her phase 4 talent is usually, or anyone's phase 4 talent usually brings a lot to the table. So this will bring the importance of leveling up your character to at least level 70 if you want them to be a support, because then you unlock their phase 4 ability, which can change lots. Another example could be Xinchu over here, where their phase 4 increases hydro damage bonus, meaning more DPS coming out, or more sub DPS, because he is a sub DPS, more sub DPS coming out of your support. So phase 4 is very important, and you should level up your characters to at least level 70. Alright, the next section we're running into is weapons. Now I'm going to bring over little Bennett over here as an example. Now weapons could change lots of things for your characters, including passives and stats. So if I were to equip this to Bennett, this wouldn't be very beneficial. The reason for this is because of what the Bennett is based off of and what the sword is offering. Now in terms of Bennett, it really doesn't matter, but you can use what you have, but as long as it has a high base attack, because Bennett's healing is Bennett's damage buff is based off his base attack. So honestly, whatever has a higher base attack is really good for Bennett. But in terms of the stat that's on the sword, physical damage isn't going to help Bennett. Energy recharge, well, since he's a support, this can apply for someone like Diluc. Diluc is a DPS, so if you were to have Skyward Pride with energy recharge, I wouldn't recommend it too much, because energy recharge is not needed. It really isn't needed. While something like Wolf's Greystone is amazing for Diluc as DPS, because it has attack percent, and its passive here increases attack too. For something like this sword right here, This would be most beneficial to someone like Razor or Eula. The reason why is because of the physical damage stat on it. So your weapons could play a huge role into why you're performing terribly. If you were to give Diluc the bell here, its substat is HP. This is trash. This is literally trash. And now if we have the passive here, taking damage generates a shield. This is trash. Why would you want to take damage? You're missing out on damage if you're taking damage. This could go into gameplay section, so I'm not going to go too much on this, but seriously, why would you want this sword? This does nothing. So weapons do play a high role and it increases your base attack, and if you don't know, your attack percentage is based off of your base attack on your character. So right here, Wolf's Gravestone is kind of OP because it boosts so much damage. If I were to take this off and equip my level 80 over here, you can see how much my damage drops. It plays a huge role, so you should pick your weapons wisely and you should always pick a weapon that's most beneficial to your character. Next up, I feel like this will definitely be the most important part of the video. Artifacts is everything. I fully believe that there is no weak character in this game, because if you get the right artifacts, if you get the artifacts leveled up, they could be as good as anyone else. I mean, there are broken characters like a Eula who can literally hit 5 million damage with no effort, but still, it could really boost your damage by 100-fold if you just level up your artifacts. So if you were to sit here and equip a cryo damage bonus goblet to Diluc, that would do nothing. So if you have to get the right artifacts so you can boost the damage on your character. So Diluc over here is a pyro damage character, so you want to equip a pyro damage goblet. And since Diluc is our DPS for our team, you want to get attack percent so you can increase the damage for Diluc. And this is most common on every single player, every single character that you use, which will be crit damage or crit rate for the circlet. And of course these are flat stats, so you won't need, so it's pretty much the same throughout, so these will be the easiest to get, and there's nothing really to focus on other than the substats. If we go over to a support like Bennett, instead I chose energy recharge on the sands because I want to have his ult up as much as possible so I can heal. And if we go to someone like Diona, I do have energy recharge. No, I don't. I have HP. Okay, this is what I wanted to say. Since Diona's healing is based off of HP, I have HP on my sands here, so we can increase the healing. You can also, if you really are self-conscious about healing, you can also put healing bonus on the circlet instead of crit damage or crit rate. And as you can see, I can just have healing all across, so I can have good healing on Diona. Now on a support character like, honestly, sub DPSs can stay the same too. But honestly, remember, whatever your damage dealing ability is, whatever is producing the most damage, like for Razor it will be physical damage. Instead I would equip this so I can boost Razor's physical damage. So artifacts do play a huge role, and the substats do too. So if you have a trash artifact like, I know I have one around here, this is not benefiting anyone. Maybe Noelle, but definitely not Razor. You really want to focus on crit damage, attack percent, crit rate, and flat attack. Well, flat attack sucks, but it's better than HP percent, unless you have a Hu Tao or maybe a healer, or Zhongli, because Zhongli is actually based off of HP. But if you don't have those, then you really don't want to have HP in your substats. But other than that, artifacts do play a huge role, and you should level them up to level 20 and make sure you have the right set for that character so you can boost your damage by 100-fold. Next up is Constellations. Now Constellations is not really viable for 5 stars unless you're a whale, so I'll be moving on to a 4-star character, which I don't have C6. Oh, come on, Zenchu. Alright, now we have Zenchu, our favorite support, or best support in the game, to be honest with you. Well, Constellations do play a huge role. If you were rocking a C0 Zenchu versus a C6, you will be missing a lot if you don't have C6. Because C6, a game changer would be here that throughout the duration of whatever this is called, Rain Cutter, Fatal's range screen is increased by 50%. That is a huge increase in damage. 50% is a huge increase. Constellations are crazy. This decreases hydro resistance. This is literally shred to the enemy. This is literally shredding the enemy. And if we go to somewhere like Diona, it will turn Diona into a sucrose because you will increase elemental mastery of your teammates on C6. Constellations are are huge change to characters, and it can buff them by a lot. If we go to someone like, I don't have Chi-Chi, so we're gonna go to Barbara. I mean, a lot. I watched Tectone and he said she was trash, but still, the C6 will revive teammates. So if you're in the abyss where you can't bring back your teammates to life if they die, Chi-Chi will literally bring them back to life. This is merely, Constellations can change lots of things. It can do wonders for things, but you have to also be wary because one of the most controversial characters, Bennett, his C6 infuses weapons with power on the circle, and this can mess up lots of things in team composition. So you do have to be wary of some Constellations, but as of right now, the only person who has this problem is Bennett. But other than that, Constellations play a huge role. If you get a Constellation activated, except for Bennett C6, because that's the only thing that makes a mistake. Alright, second to last, we have talents. Now, talents do play another huge role. If you have low talent levels, you're also suffering from damage, even if you have high artifacts. Or if you have high talents and don't have good artifacts, you're also going to be suffering. You need to have it good all around. So, as of right now, I have used normal attack at level 10, and this is where the damage comes from. The more you level up, the more the scaling goes up. So if you don't level this up, you're going to be missing out on a lot of damage. Now, as I said, I did talk about this before in the level section, because you need to level up to get these, but these are also a part of the talents, which is like crowd damage bonus here, and also increasing damage because of the bloom. So talents are extremely important. This is a passive talent that is really important. Usually the last one is like a normal thing, like cooking food, or for Ganyu here, she's just refunds 15% of ore. This one's pretty much not battle focused, but all the other ones are battle focused, and you should really get your talent levels all the way up. You should also remember how to prioritize them depending on the character that you're using. Since Ganyu is my DPS, her normal attack is level 10 because I just love her that much and I crowned it. But I'm using her burst a lot more too, so that's why I have it at level 8, so I increase the damage of each of the shards. And lastly, I have here the Tale of Genshin, which is that, what's it called? Taunt. It's a taunt, so it attracts enemies. So I have it at lower HP only because it'll blow up and cause damage. But for someone like Zhongli, I use him as a support, so I don't need to level up his normal attack because I'm never going to use it. Instead, I'll level up his shield because I can use it to protect the rest of my team, and his ult because I'll drop his ult and then let him leave. As for Bennett, I just increased this only because of the fact that I'm always smacking it to get some energy, but of course I have his ult at max so I can get that huge damage increase, and so I can get the healing bonus increase. Same thing for Venti over here. I have his skill increase all the way because I come in this field, drop it, and leave. And same thing for his burst. Come in the field, drop it, and leave. Now this is the last part of the video where we talk about gameplay. Now you can increase your damage, but you need to learn how to also avoid damage. So you see, you need to practice, or at least it'll be nice to practice with all types of hilichurls and mobs in the game, and learn how to dodge them properly and utilize iframes, infinite frames, that's what they're called. It's basically where you're invincible so you don't take damage. Like I dodged at the wrong time there and I took damage. And when you take damage, you're paralyzed like this, where you can't attack back. Now, of course, in the open world, this doesn't affect anything, but if you're playing Abyss, then this can play a huge factor in losing lots of time. So you want to learn how to, what their attack patterns of the enemies are, so you can dodge them at the right time and do more damage. Now that I dodge, I can sit here and attack and get some damage off. But if I were to be holding my charge attack like this, and they were coming to charge at me and I don't dodge, I lose that charge attack. Of course I would still lose it if I dodged, but at least I have more time to react. If I dodged, I still got hit, bad example, but I would still have more time to do something if I dodge like this and attack back like that. So I have time to do something and I get some damage in return. Of course, these are just hilichurls, so they're not really doing any stonk damage to me anyways, but if you were to be fighting the Valen, Child, Azada, or whatever is the wolf name is, they do large scale attacks, and it will be nice to learn them and dodge them so you can do more damage, output more damage, and take less damage. Another part of the gameplay would be snapshotting, and I just lost Bennett's burst. Give me a sec. Alright, so now that I have Bennett's burst back, if I were to pop Venti's ult right now like this is how much damage I'm getting from Venti's burst. Now we're at a different location because there's no more Hilichurls, but if we were to pop Bennett's ult, which increases damage for the team like this, and then pop Venti's ult now, Venti's ult now is at 2,812, a huge increase in damage, and it will last an entire duration no matter if Bennett's burst leaves or not. Now I did hear about Snapshotting changing due to the effect and what Mihoyo was doing, but as of right now it's still like that. So you want to utilize Snapshotting a lot because it will increase your damage for over time. I almost forgot to speak about this, but I'm going to be speaking about team comps and elemental reactions. Now this will also play into the gameplay section, which is why it's going to be here. Now team comps and elemental reactions are paired together simply because of the fact that elemental reactions are based off the teams that you make. So let's use this first team here because it was a meme build just for nothing. Don't worry about the title on the left saying main. So if we were, there's different elemental reactions in the game. One is melt, another is vaporize, there's supercharge, there's superconduct, and there's shatter. I mean, that's not really a reaction, but I think that's most of them. There's also freeze, but that's kind of useless. So the main big damage ones are going to be melt and vaporize. Superconduct decreases physical damage resistance, and electrocharge is mostly, it can paralyze the enemy, but also if multiple enemies are covered in hydro, then the electro will like jump over to other enemies, so it's like really good for crowd controlling. But I'll be speaking about mainly vaporize and melt because this can increase your damage by double. So Sucrose is a very nice character because she can increase elemental mastery for your team, which can increase your damage. So I'm gonna try. Mine is not leveled up, but I'm gonna try and use her so I can showcase melt reaction, which is what can increase your damage by a lot. Now I'm gonna bring Bennett with us simply because he'll shut up, Bennett. I'm gonna bring Bennett with us because he can increase damage, and lastly we're gonna get a cryo character. We're gonna bring Ganyu with us. Now in order to do melt, you need to apply cryo first, and you need to do pyro right after. The reason for this is so you can get to 2 times damage. If you do it in the opposite order, then instead you're going to get 1.5 times damage. Same thing applies with vaporize. You need to apply pyro first and then hydro. If you do it the opposite direction, then you're only going to get a 1.5 damage increase. As for superconduct and electrocharge, it does not matter. So we're going to bring out this team and go to the cryo registine so we can test out the elemental reaction. Alright, so I got everyone's burst ready. I'm gonna go ahead and quickly eat some crit rate food because I have large issues with getting crit rate for some reason. And even though D-Luke has pretty high crit rate, I always have an issue. So crit rate food will only affect the crit rate, but we're only here for the elemental reaction. So I don't think it will cause too much of an issue. Melt and vaporize can increase your damage by a whole lot. You really should do elemental reactions, especially in Smart Abyss, because it will save you lots of time and increase your damage by lots. Hello, I hope you enjoyed the video. Like, comment, and subscribe. Sorry that I stuttered too much or said a lot, but I wasn't planning on doing a second take, so there you go. And feel free to look at my other videos, and I'm planning on doing something about Traveler rework, and hopefully gets a lot of recognition because I feel like it should be happening in the game, but I'll speak about that in another video. So, toodaloo.